Lara, a girl with two younger brothers and two sisters, was left with nothing after the death of her parents and faced poverty face to face. This is the level of poverty where even patching a leaky roof is expensive. Rainwater seeps through the cracks so quickly that buckets and large bowls are no longer helpful. That's not all. Their wooden floor creaks as if it will collapse at any second. You always have to walk on tiptoe. They all understand that they won't be able to live here for long. The house is in such a terrible state that every day spent here and a roof over their heads is a miracle for them. A huge house inherited by generations, even too big to do without servants, which they cannot afford, is located on a plot in the small eastern country of Lushan. Every time it seems like the roof will fall today, and they won't even have a place to hide from the rain. Because of this, her little brother and sister began to hate this kind of weather, and she even more so. And the thunder constantly puts so much pressure on my mind that it's impossible to even concentrate and calmly think about what to do next. When they lived with their parents, they never thought about such serious things. They just enjoyed life and lived their childhood peacefully. She had to grow up too early. Lara is now responsible for the younger ones, and this is different from how she imagined her future. She went out as usual to check the ceiling in the whole house. Her brother is already calling her and wants to show her something. He is very nervous. He can't put words together into one sentence because it seems that what they were all so afraid of is about to happen. He asked her to look at the ceiling. Everything looks very sad there. The roof is unlikely to hold up until tomorrow morning. Lara looked up. She tries to stay calm, but the situation is too critical. The girl looks at the ceiling. She understood that this would happen sooner or later, but today everything is too untimely. A couple of minutes and the roof has completely burst through. It is impossible to be in the house. The speed here, everything will be in water. They don't understand why they are being punished like this. Apparently, from this moment on, adult life begins for everyone. The next day came, the rain stopped. The weather was beautiful outside as if nothing had happened during the night. Lauren, as soon as she woke up, immediately went to the market. She thought that there would be no one here so early, but there are buyers at every stall. She stopped near a bakery shop. It smelled so good nearby that it was impossible to walk past calmly. Everything is fresh, hot, aromatic. If only there was some money for all this. The girl was lost in thought that she didn't even notice how a woman she knew approached her. She immediately recognized Laura and started asking how she was doing. Everyone was already talking about the terrible tragedy that had happened to them. Laura started smiling out of habit, pretended as if she had no problems, but at the same time, she really wanted someone to feel sorry for her and support her. The woman asked her not to hide anything. She understands how hard it is for her to talk about this, and if necessary, she is ready to help. Laura didn't think that the rumors would spread so quickly, but since that's the case, she doesn't care. After all, it's more important to think about how to survive. Then the woman says that as far as she knows, their house has been passed down from generation to generation. But since it is no longer safe to live in it, she advises them to think about selling it and buying a smaller house. But it will be a good one, with normal repairs. The only thing that holds her back is memories of past generations. She feels like it would be wrong, but it's also impossible to live in the house. Since they were already talking, she took advantage of this and asked if by any chance anyone nearby was looking for workers. She could start even from today. The woman would really like to help, but unfortunately, after the recent famine, even the current workers were fired. Now everyone is having a very hard time, and everyone has huge problems with work. At that moment, a man came up to them and said that some mansion needed workers, and then changed to intervene and say that he accidentally overheard their conversation. Laura's ready to cling to any opportunity. She began to ask about this work. Suddenly, the man knows something about it. He started showing this mansion because it can be seen even from here. It is huge, beautiful, but everything is not as wonderful as it seems. He didn't want to upset her ahead of time. He thought that she herself should think about why. At a time when no one can find a job, there are empty workplaces in the mansion. Many people know that they pay their workers very generously, and that's exactly what she needs. In the end, the man couldn't hold back. He decided that the girl should know one nuance. He says that the vacancy is ideal, only there is one unpleasant moment. The woman also knows what it is about. She was even afraid to talk about it, but still decided to. She told about Duke Ilyas Kovershaldin, the owner of a huge mansion, who has not been able to find workers for many years. He became a duke very early and is completely devoid of manners, so he has no friends and very rarely has guests at his home. He constantly throws servants out into the street. He has so few of them, and the guy doesn't spare them and mocks them. He used to turn down proposals from the most famous young ladies without a hint of politeness. He is not interested in any relationship. He wants to continue living on his own. In the city, it is generally accepted that if someone communicates with this person, he is definitely a spy. And if someone finds out about this, then this person's entire social circle automatically disappears. The woman knew that there were vacancies in that estate, but she didn't say because she didn't want the girl to get hurt. Even the man confirmed that you need to think very carefully before going there. Lara thanked him for his concern, but she thinks she is not in a position to be picky about her employer. At least as long as they pay well, if she gets good money, she's willing to put up with anything. They really wanted to dissuade her, but they understand that she really has no other choice. She needs to feed everyone and live somewhere. A couple of hours later, she came to the hotel with everyone. The girl sold some of her things to rent the smallest room for a while. Little Lodi asked you, what about their home? Why didn't they go back there? And this is such a difficult question that the older sister almost burst into tears. Her brother helped her. He said that they would stay in the hotel until their roof and wet floor were fixed. And how long it will take depends on when Sister Laura finds a job to pay for the repairs. The sister said that she really wanted to go home, that she would never feel as good as she did there. And after that, Laurie immediately remembered the words of the woman who advised her to sell the house. Although she doesn't understand that he is too dear to them. In fact, she is right. Sometimes in order to move on, you need to get rid of the old and not stand still. Lottie loves their house more than anyone else. She has dreamed of living in it all her life until old age since she was very young, and she often repeats this. That's why Lara can't imagine how she'll move with them to another place. It will be especially difficult to announce it as news. On this day, she made one decision for herself. She wants to fix everything for her younger brothers and sisters as soon as possible, and it doesn't matter what others say. So with firm determination, she arrived at this terrible mansion. Before her was complete uncertainty, but there was no way back. He is much scarier than she imagined. It is night outside and everything looks even worse. Black crows are flying. The atmosphere is not the most pleasant, and you just really want to turn around and leave. The girl thought that maybe it was just rumors affecting her, but this place really looked very suspicious, as if something could jump out at any second. Maybe she should have waited until Madam walked her out or come during the day. It was a mistake, coming here at night. It was nothing worse, but someone could answer and steal this job from her, so she changed her mind and decided that it was good that she came so early. These thoughts would soon make her head explode. Lara took courage and knocked on the door, because the more she thought about all this, the more scared she would be to move on. She knocked very loudly, but no one opened, and she already had doubts whether there was anyone here at all. A little more and she would have gone back home. But suddenly, some strange sound was heard. Then the door started opening by itself, and she didn't even touch it. Lara was afraid that she might be perceived as a robber, so she started shouting that she came to work because she heard that there were vacancies here. Someone called her sister in a sweet voice. At first, she didn't understand who it could be, and then she looked down and saw a cute girl. She is the same age as her sister Loti. It's just strange that the child is not sleeping at such a time. Lara didn't notice how she asked a strange question. Does this girl live here? And what she answered, that she both lives here and doesn't live here, and she also has a question for her. She asked if her guests could see her, because some other people didn't even notice or hear her. At first, the girl was very tense. She remembered those rumors about ghosts, but then she calmed down. I thought that the girl probably started playing a prank on her out of boredom, so I asked her not to joke so cruelly, especially at night. After that, Lara asked her to call one of the adults. She wanted to pat her on the head, but at that moment, her hand just passed by this girl. Laura almost lost consciousness. She does not believe what she sees in front of her. She has no words. She wants to run away from here. She saw with her own eyes what those people warned her about. They turned out to be right. The girl doesn't react at all. She just smiles, and at some point, she even started to come closer to her. Lara wanted to fall through the ground. She hadn't worked here even one day, and she was already almost going crazy. The girl screamed loudly, so loudly that birds flew off the roofs. It is impossible to understand how there could be ghosts in such a good house, because even in theirs, where everything looks much more deplorable, there is not a single one. But what's more important is that her hand just went through her head and she didn't imagine it. And if she told anyone, no one would believe it. She doesn't understand what she needs to do now. Suddenly, this is not the only ghost in this house. And somewhere further, there is someone scarier. The little girl keeps calling her sister and asks why she is sitting on the floor and shaking all over. Nothing bad has happened anymore. The ghost looks very friendly and Lara doesn't even know if it calms her down or not. She cried even harder, screamed, and at that moment a man came up to her, who, like the hand, passed through the ghost. The girl didn't see him right away. Then she immediately calmed down and said that she had simply never seen ghosts. The man apologized that she had to wait so long. He was very busy, and I walked down the long corridor for a long time. His name is George. He is the butler of this mansion. The main thing is that he also does not turn out to be a ghost. In this house, everything is possible. Lara panics a lot. She looks around to make sure no one else comes up to them when she doesn't expect it. Georgie asked what brought her here, and also noticed that she looked unwell and suggested calling a doctor. She replied that she was fine and that she heard this morning that there were workers here and that she needed a job. The man thought she would be perfect for the job of secretary to the Duke and said that if she stood up, he would take her to his office for an interview. When he gave her his hand to help her up, she had a fleeting thought that, what if her hand went through him again? Fortunately, nothing like that happened. He turned out to be an ordinary person. Now she felt much calmer. She even smiled, began to behave completely differently, but she understands that it is too early to rejoice. She hasn't even entered the house. Finally, she entered a warm house. She had already forgotten what it was like. It is only important not to forget why she came here and for whom. Unlike their house, here the ceilings are very good and reliable. There is plenty of lighting around. Every room is light and cozy. She imagined it would be completely different inside, and if it weren't for the ghosts, it would be absolutely gorgeous. The girl no longer notices how she constantly looks back. She is subconsciously afraid of seeing another ghost. Now she understands why the butler took so long to get to her. The corridors here are so big that she is already tired of going to the office. This place is much bigger compared to their house. If you look closely how well maintained it is obvious that there are diligent servants here. The paintings and candlesticks on the walls also look very clean and expensive. She thinks that in such a house, she definitely won't have to worry about salary delays. Probably this doesn't happen here. Lara was thinking about how her acquaintance with the Duke would go, that she didn't notice that she had been haunted by a ghost for a couple of minutes. When she saw her, she got scared again. And the girl says that she thought her sister should have gotten used to her by now. The girl says that she likes her very much, but when Lara is afraid of her, she feels very awkward. Lara reacts to her, but does not answer, the girl thought. Why not teach her a lesson for this? She played a cruel joke on her, so she will definitely hear some sounds from her. The girl started complaining about this ghost. She asked the butler to do something about it, but he couldn't help. He just said that she would have to put up with it, and also asked her to remember that when ghosts are ignored, they get very angry and behave in much the same way. But if you befriend them and communicate with them, nothing bad will happen. She doesn't even know how to react to this. She doesn't believe that this is reality because she never believed this before. After that, they started talking about one painting. The butler immediately warned that it was better not to touch it, and preferably not to pass by at all, or to pass by only very quickly. Lara thought that the Duke might really like the painting, and he didn't like it when someone approached it. But the man replied that it wasn't quite that. If you look at it closer, this is the only picture that is tilted to the side. Strangely, the girl did not notice this before. They say that this painting has a soul, and no matter how straight it hangs, it always tilts again. Lara hears about this for the first time. Before, she was very surprised. But now, here, before her, there is nothing unusual about it. He says that, of course, it's just a story, but he understands that the person who fell in love with this painting is very attached to it. She is ready to put up with this completely after all. They promised to pay a lot here, or is this a priority for her? They are already climbing the stairs. The lighting here is very poor, so the butler Gorgi asks her to watch her step carefully. On the way, Lara thought for a second, maybe somewhere there is a better job, more comfortable. After all, it will be very difficult to live with ghosts. For now, it's like a fun introduction for her. But later, there will be no time for jokes. After all, she will have to work here for a very long time. But that's not all that confuses her. If she were an ordinary person, she, like other people, would not see anyone. And if she did see, then only for example, if these ghosts move something, but not them personally. She was lucky with this particular ghost. She is very cute. But the main problem is that the girl does not know the reason why she has been seeing ghosts since she was a child, because the ghosts spent so much time alone. No one noticed them, so they were happy to know that she can see them. At first, they asked to become her friends, and then there were cases when ghosts tried to take her body to satisfy the resentment they harbored before death. This was not once or twice. No matter how much she needed the money, contact with ghosts would not lead to anything good. And she seriously thought about it only now, even decided to apologize to the butler and go home. But it was too late. They were already near the office, and the gentleman must have heard them walking here along the corridor. Georgie noticed that she wanted to tell him something, asked how she could help, and she replied that she thought she had come at the wrong time and suggested seeing her the next morning. He thought that she didn't have to worry. The Duke worked until late at night anyway, but that wasn't quite what she had in mind. The door opens. She sees this man for the first time and realizes that this is how she imagined him. The guy asked who the young lady was next to the butler, and at that moment, some dark cloud appeared in the room. At least something like that. She reacted very badly to this. She became scared. The butler thought that this was the moment to tell the Duke that the girl could see ghosts. He said it in his ear very quietly so that she wouldn't hear anything, and it wasn't very nice of him. After that, the guy asked her what her name was. So far, he seemed very polite, although she had heard something completely different about him and thought that it would be terribly unpleasant to communicate with him. Lara introduced herself, told a little about herself, thought she would have to tell why she should take the vacant position, tell something about her experience. But none of this was needed. He only asked her name, found out that she sees ghosts, and that was enough to make a decision. Hire her. He said she could start tomorrow, and she thought she was just hearing things. Then he said that the job would be easy. All she would have to do was make a schedule and sort paperwork. Nothing else was required of her. Laura wasn't afraid to ask if it was reasonable to hire someone so quickly. She didn't even have experience in this matter. And he replied that as long as she suited him and offered to discuss the salary, he was ready to pay $500,000, which is 10 times more than the usual average salary. The girl never thought that it would be so easy to earn such a huge amount of money, although she has not yet started working. But she thinks that this is a very profitable offer, and of course, she is not going to refuse. With a salary of $500,000, she will cover all the expenses for the roof. She will even be able to send her brothers and sisters to the Royal Academy, where other noble children go. And even after that, there will be money left for a luxurious life. But if she works here, she will have to see ghosts every day. But now she will have to get used to it. This upsets her a lot, but she has younger brothers and sisters, and she can't leave them without a home and food. Now she decided to talk to the Duke. First, she remembered that she came to him late at night, knowing how he didn't like guests, decided to apologize for such a late visit, and then dared to say that she was fine with everything, except for one thing. If she saw ghosts too often, sooner or later, she would want to quit. He already thought that she would easily start working, especially for such a salary. But the girl is not afraid to talk about what she doesn't like, and this is the first time for him. The guy offers to double the amount. He is really ready to do anything, if only she would stay here to work, because he himself can no longer cope. She expected that he would be very nervous, would immediately throw her out of the house. Laura did not even have time to answer him, as that little ghost appeared again. The girl found out that Laura will be working for them. She says that she is very happy about it. She just doesn't understand that she came a little at the wrong time, at the most inopportune moment. She likes that her sister doesn't ignore her. Unlike him, she also calls him brother, and since she's here, the guy decided to talk about it. He asked her again if she really could see ghosts, because he had previously thought that only he could have such a terrible ability. He understands very well that it is not easy to work in such an environment. He himself feels uneasy when they appear too often, so he is ready to compensate for these inconveniences with anything she wishes. The guy starts saying that he understands her like no one else. He would have gotten rid of them a long time ago, but it's impossible. At first, he couldn't sleep normally at all. He didn't feel like the master of this house at all. It's lucky that the ghost girl is kind, otherwise he would have gone crazy. People think that he himself summoned ghosts into his house, commands them, but no one imagines that before everything was the other way around. Lara also thought that he was controlling them, that they were his assistants or like security. But after hearing all this, she found out that this was not so. People described him as a man with a fierce character who is not afraid of anything. But in fact, he is sometimes scared by ghosts in his own house. The girl was happy at first. It means that he will be able to support her and she can come to him to hide when the ghosts go too far. But on the other hand, this will happen every day. She will have duties here that will have to be fulfilled no matter what. And this scares her. She asks him if maybe he should hire someone more experienced instead of her, because now she is not sure that she will calmly go to work tomorrow morning and not change her mind. The guy is unhappy with these words. He already thought that she agrees, but that is still a long way off. Lara was about to explain that she had gotten too excited when suddenly he confessed that from the second he found out that there was a person in this world who also saw ghosts, he really didn't want to let this person go. He is so scared to this day here that most likely he will try with all his might to persuade her to take this job. And this already makes her wary. Even if she finally refuses, he will still not leave her alone. In the end, it didn't even get to the point where she said her final decision, and they were already looking for a room for her. The butler personally took care of this. He knows better what will suit her and where she will be most comfortable. They had already approached her room. All the servants in the mansion live in this dormitory. The man said that her roommate would be Miss Sonia, but she wouldn't be there tomorrow so they could meet later. The girl doesn't understand how she came to this. She wanted to refuse, but she was simply left with no choice. In fact, 10 minutes ago in front of Ilyas's office, there was one situation in front of everyone. He stopped her out loud and asked to listen. No one understood what was going on. Someone thought he was hitting on a lady. Maybe he liked her, and only one suggested that I intervene because it was none of their business. While Lara wanted to run away, he begged her to stop, took her hand, and she said that she couldn't do that. The guy asked her not to say that. It could mislead others and they would misunderstand them. He is ready to do anything, to get down on his knees to beg her. He even managed to promise that she would just get money for living here, and I wouldn't have to work for them even for a single day. Everyone looks at them with huge eyes. These are ideal conditions, but Lara doesn't think so. When she started talking to him aggressively, he realized that she couldn't be convinced and, just in case, offered a sum 10 times larger than what was originally offered. Besides this, he assures her that if she will not only live here, but also work, he will add the same amount to this, and this is his last offer. In the end, she signed all the documents without thinking, agreed to work, and they should discuss everything else in the morning. She again has the thought that she agreed in vain. It seems to her that no amount of money will compensate for the stress that she will experience here. The ghost starts appearing again at the most inopportune moment. Lyra just calmed down and she flies up again. The guy also starts to get nervous because he already knows how quickly the girl can change her mind, but he offered her too much money, which will obviously keep her here. Inside, she is still trying to convince herself that she can leave at any moment. But in reality, everything will be different. She won't be able to earn even 1% of what she'll earn here anywhere else. She won't be able to quit. And even if she could, she'll be back in a couple of days. Lara was so lost in thought that she didn't even enter the room, although they were already there, and the butler had already asked her to go through several times. She noticed that she was distracted, but the man understood everything. He saw how tired she was. He was no different on his first working day either. He decided to tell her everything else tomorrow and again suggested going to rest. The room was chosen for a reason. There are almost no ghosts here. They took into account all her wishes, so she should be comfortable here. The girl was left here alone. She didn't even look around the room. She immediately took off her shoes and lay down on the bed. She simply didn't have the strength for anything else. Even though she was told that it should be quiet here, she still listens to every rustle. Even now, lying on the bed, she is afraid to move, so as not to confuse this sound with the presence of a ghost. She thinks about how much she learned today, how much she saw, and if it weren't for the bad roof in their house, she would have continued living her normal life. Then she thought that her salary would allow her to fix everything, and as soon as she received her first money, then it would be clear whether she would stay here or not. Laura was already thinking about closing her eyes, but at that moment, a scream was heard in the corridor, and it seemed to be right next to her door. The girl didn't understand what it could be. She immediately got up from the pillow. She couldn't help but check what it was. The thought came up that they might be thieves, but they wouldn't attract so much attention to themselves and shout throughout the house. If these were some strangers, she already wanted to fight with them, to kick them out. But she turned the lock, opened the door, and saw a very familiar face. Instead of the villains in the corridor, there was a small ghost, although it sounded as if there was a whole company there. This is the girl who calls her sister. She sings some songs and spins in the air as if something happened. She found out that their little sister is staying with them. She has already signed all the documents, so she is so happy that she can't hold back. Laura wasn't used to the fact that the ghost could teleport so quickly. She had just seen her from a distance, and now she was right in front of her face. The girl got scared. She closed the door and immediately ran under the blanket because she was not ready for this before going to bed. She is already unhappy with the fact that although the ghosts cannot enter this room, they can be heard perfectly well. Laura wanted to relax at least here, but it didn't work out. The next day came. She was warned that she needed to wake up early so that she could be told what was what. The butler led her into the kitchen. They began to get to know each other, but the girls were more interested in what concerns her salary. They became interested in what they needed to do to make the gentleman also beg them to stay and offer such huge amounts of money. Laura replied that they just know the situation from the outside and don't understand how things really are. Sonia, the roommate, thinks that this is very unfair, but at the same time promises that it will not affect their relationship in any way. The girl says that she is very happy about this because she thought that they would hate her here. Now it is clear why the guy asks to speak more quietly, and it would be better if she listened to him. The butler has some business to attend to. He asked Sonia to give him a short tour and show him what she will need to do. They hadn't had time to get to know each other properly yet, so the partners set aside a couple of minutes for this. She says that she is very glad to meet her. Laura can ask her about everything, and she will also help at first if necessary. Sonia asked to tell what the girl did before. It seems to her that in order to become a secretary here, you need to at least study at the Royal Academy. But Laura does not know what to tell her. It would be strange to answer something like, she got the job because she can see ghosts. Another maid approached them. She heard what they were talking about, so she asked Sonia not to ask such personal questions at the first meeting. Because it was obvious how uncomfortable Laura was, the girl immediately apologized and suggested getting down to business. In the rooms where they are most often, there are such devices, they call them bells. The Duke uses them very rarely. They are needed so that the maids understand where he is and where to go. Each number is signed with a room. Everything is very simple here. They thought it would be better if Laura went to him this time. He probably wants to check if she has mastered this system or not. She already likes this job, after all. She hasn't seen a single ghost all day, and so far the girl is even smiling. While she is walking down the corridor, she's happily relaxing. Her colleagues are not bad people, but she is already tired of them. They talk very quickly and she does not have time to pay attention to everyone. The good thing is that every day there will be a different shift and she will communicate with different people, not the same ones. And also, her work usually lasts until early evening, so encounters with ghosts should be rare. She is already knocking on the door of the office, but for some reason no one is answering her. Although literally a couple of minutes ago, she received a call that she needed to come here. The girl thought that there was no one there, decided to check, but it turned out that the gentleman had simply fallen asleep right at his desk. He probably worked late, was very tired, most likely wanted to ask for some kind of invigorating drink, but never got it. She doesn't know how to wake him up properly and whether it's necessary to do it at all. Maybe it's better to leave or ask someone for advice. The girl didn't have time to make a decision. He opened his eyes, and it so happened that at that very moment, she wanted to remove the eyelash from his face. He might misunderstand everything. Laura was very embarrassed and doesn't know how to explain everything. It was a very awkward situation. She wanted time to go back and not do what she had already done. I had to pretend that nothing happened. Laura asks how she can help him, and he looks at her as if he is getting used to her and even admires her. The guy admitted that it was very unusual for him to see her like that, and he also thanked her for her courage. After all, if she had left then, he would have been completely depressed. She says that all this is very unusual for her too, and even lied a little, saying that she is very glad that she stayed here. He already wanted to ask her for something, but ghosts appeared in the office and this really embarrasses her. She was told that they can't appear so early in the morning and that they can mostly only be seen late at night. This time the girl came with her friend. She offers Lara to play hide and seek with them, as if she forgot that the girl actually works here, and she has no time for that right now. She asked if she could ask him one question. Why were ghosts wandering so early in the morning? He said that this would not happen. The girl asked Theo to say hello to Lara and also told him that she could see them, just like her brother. Theo is a very sweet boy, but the mere thought that he is also a ghost makes her feel uneasy. The girl had only gotten used to one ghost, and now there were two of them, even during the day, when she thought she would take a break from them. At first, the guy didn't even know what to say to this, but then he made up his mind and explained that this was exactly why he would pay her much more than everyone else, and also asked her to think about the fact that these are good ghosts, so everything is not as scary as she thinks. You just need to get used to it. Lara remained silent, although he should have warned her about this earlier. Although he is right, it's just that children are ghosts, and it's very good that they are not adults. She tries very hard to accept all these disadvantages of the job, and if it weren't for the money, she would leave here on the first day. She wants to believe that everything will be safe. After all, these children haven't done anything bad yet, and the gentleman is a very kind person who can always listen and help. At that moment, when she was waiting for some order from him, he did not notice how he almost fell asleep, but then woke up. He felt very ashamed that he dozed off in front of the lady. It was rude of him, but he explained that it was all because of the ghost. They did not let him sleep peacefully at night. At that moment, the girl thought, why not do something useful? For example, let him sleep, and she herself, well, will distract the children, that is, the ghosts. She promised to take care of them, suggested that he go and have a good rest, because she could imagine how long it had been since he had it. He never even thought he would hear something like that from her. It's not her job, but he can't refuse such an opportunity. He already had a sweet smile. The guy was embarrassed, and she was very happy to see him like this because she felt that she would do something useful. So she will at least justify a little the huge amount of money that he will pay her. And in the meantime, she herself has not yet realized what she proposed. The girl already offers to play in this room. While Theo walks calmly like a normal person, Lily flies and only scares Lara. The girl isn't sure that they can just go into any room they want, but the kids said that they can do anything here. Lily said that here she and Theo played with her friend. Now that her friend is gone, they use this place as a house. For a second, the girl was afraid that there might be a room of someone who no longer exists in this world. But when she saw how everything looked here, such a neat bedroom, neatly folded things, no traces that anyone lived here. Everything is like in the picture. There is a portrait of some girl next to the bed. Maybe she was the owner of this room. In this mansion, the girl realized that the paintings here are either important or once were, and this man reminds her of His Highness. While she was looking at the portrait, Lily called her, probably wanting to show her something. She says that she has something for her here, but Lara has no idea what it could be. The girl took out some book, but it's not an ordinary book. It's special, and she's not giving it to her just like that. Lily's friend said that whoever enters the room must be given this book, so she did. Below, the girl saw a surname that matched the surname of the owner of this house, and she had several questions. She asked if Lily remembered the name of her friend who gave her this book. She replied that her name was Helena, but she didn't remember her last name. Lara will definitely show this book to His Highness. She believes that he should know about it, and of course, the fact that this book ended up in her hands. While the ghosts are having fun, she looks at this and does not understand why they called her, because they and yours are having a lot of fun. In any case, it's very good. They don't invite her to their place. You don't have to play with them, run around, and the gentleman can rest peacefully. She started to think what to do with this book. The owner's name is written on it, so it would be somehow wrong to take it. It could also turn out to be some kind of family memory or heirloom. And then she had an idea to go to the gentleman for a while. Suddenly, he was not asleep yet, to ask him what was the best thing to do. Laura promised to return soon. The children don't mind. They just ask not to be late. Otherwise, they will go looking for her. She came to him, and he was lying on the couch. He didn't even go to his room, which means she didn't have time, and it's better not to wake him up, because it will turn out that she gave him such an opportunity, and she woke him up and ruined everything. She couldn't leave right away. Something about him attracted her. Laura just looked at him and thought about leaving in a couple of minutes. The past situation didn't teach her anything. She came so close that he could feel it and wake up at any moment. She was so carried away that she didn't even notice when he opened his eyes and looked at her. The guy asks what she's doing here, and she's even more scared than he is. It turns out he noticed her earlier. He just tried not to pay attention, but he couldn't resist and said that if she continues to look at him like that, he won't be able to keep his eyes closed. She started making excuses that he misunderstood her. She came on business and he immediately thought that she had some problems with ghosts. The girl gives him this book. He knows what it is. He couldn't find it for a long time. He even set aside a whole day for this before, but he didn't succeed. He hadn't held it in his hands for a long time. The book used to belong to his mother. He looked at it as if he was about to cry. Laura felt embarrassed that she had created such a situation, but she couldn't have acted differently either. He wondered if she had read what was written there, and she replied that she thought it would be wrong to do so. After all, it was not her thing. Laura, she said that according to the ghost, his mother asked to give this book as a gift to the first person who enters her room, and he asked why then she didn't take the book for herself. After all, if this is his mother's request, she should do it. But Laura thinks that she is a stranger and cannot accept it. But it seems to him that since she is his secretary, she cannot be a stranger, and he suggested reading at least one page and then deciding whether she needs it or not, especially since it could be useful for her work. The girl doesn't understand what he's talking about. What other benefit is there for work? She decided to open the book right now so that he could see everything. The book that she thought would not be interesting to her turned out to be a notebook with various notes that were already many years old. To the unknown friend who planted the mansion, you received this notebook from my dear friend. I guess you can see ghosts. The girl didn't have time to read before the guy started telling her that his mother could also see ghosts, just like him and her. When he was a child, she often told him stories about these ghosts, but since he was not particularly interested in it, she probably passed it on to that girl. In fact, he was never interested in anything mystical, especially when his mother brought more than 100 ghosts one day. From that moment, he just hates them. From that day on, he had nightmares every day for a month. And when he was happy to see his mother, she said that she could not do anything about it. And that is how he developed childhood trauma. Now, it sounds like an interesting story, but in reality, he wasn't having fun back then. Quite the opposite. He asked her not to worry about it because most of the ghosts had disappeared during his mother's lifetime, and now he could only see 5. After that, he asked if she had ever heard of evil spirits. According to the mother, if a soul tied to the earth stays here for too long without leaving, it will turn into an evil spirit and harm all living things. The idea that something like this could happen seemed impossible. He always thought that his mother was too faithful and rather strange. Laura listened to him and realized that she began to understand what she, his mother, wanted to do. Before the ghosts would turn into evil spirits and harm people, she locked them in the mansion. The woman fulfilled the wishes of the spirits and helped them ascend again and again. After this, Laura cannot express in words how amazing his mother's work was, because she herself knows how dangerous evil spirits are. And then he starts saying that if she thought that he needed something from her, then it's not so. Laura didn't quite understand what he meant. Then he continued that he didn't even want these souls to disappear. Only his mother could do that? Now the girl has a question. Since he doesn't need anything special from her, why would he pay her so much money? It turns out he didn't quite finish talking about the scale of the work. Since he was used to a large volume of work, it seems to him that this much, it's very little and takes almost no time. But now he has a new idea. He wants to offer her another business. Forget about all the paperwork and start taking care of the children. Like today, and if she agrees, then she will not have any other responsibilities. She asked him what about the other ghosts? If there were 5 of them in the whole house, then besides Lily and Theo, there should be 3 more. He asked her not to worry about the other 3. He had known them for 10 years, but Unlike the little ones, they rarely went out for walks, and even he saw them very rarely. Lara saw one ghost behind him again and thought that the guy himself might not know about its existence. And he also says that in any case, so far he has never seen a ghost turn into an evil spirit. But even if it happens, he will make sure that she is safe. At the moment when he asks her to think of his mother's notebook as a gift, the girl notices that despite his determined expression, the Duke's palms were tense too much for it to be noticed. In the end, she agreed to his new proposal, promised that he would not be disappointed in her and everything would be fine. It seems to her that since her only ability is to see ghosts, and if she can help someone with this, then she needs to be on his side. And then again, at the most inopportune moment, the maid came into his office and again misunderstood everything. In fact, she came very urgently. She didn't even apologize for disturbing them. She says that there was a big fire in Madam's room and something needs to be done about it urgently. No one can understand how this could happen, much less who could do it. The Duke first asked where the ghosts were, because no one else could have done this. She says that they are in that room. He starts to get indignant that this is real negligence, and he doesn't understand how she could leave them there alone. Maybe the children turned into evil spirits and deliberately started the fire. He himself understands that this cannot be. Most likely they just had a fight, although how the fire started is unclear. On the way, she tells him that they were playing quietly and she didn't think that ghosts could do anything at all. That fire. They came running. There are already two maids here. They are trying to pour water on everything, but it doesn't help. The guy is very worried that no one will get hurt, but they can't answer anything yet. They just came running and have no idea if there is anyone in the room. Lara says that she will also help deal with the fire. When suddenly Lily flies up and both he and the Duke immediately felt calm. This is all very good, but she starts to distract. Complains that Theo is behaving very strangely and she can't play with him normally. She said that his face became very red and then something exploded. But still nothing is clear from these words. The gentleman asks where he is now, to which she replies that he is very close, right in the room with the fire. The girl no longer knows what to imagine. She is only reassured by the fact that the child is a ghost, and perhaps he doesn't care about the fire. There is such a strong fire there that it is impossible to see anything. At least 5 minutes have passed and anything could have happened in that time. So far, Theo looks like everything is fine. It's just strange why he doesn't come out of there. Because if he doesn't care about the fire, he could have gone for Lily a long time ago. But if that's not the case, it's strange that everything is fine with him. In the end, the boy was saved by his girlfriend. All this time, those two were standing aside, and now they feel guilty that they were idle and did nothing for this. Thanks to all the servants, the fire was put out very quickly. But now there is another problem. No one knows if the ghost of the mother remains in this house. And if so, how will she react to it? Lara and the Duke approached the doors. They knew that they would not see anything good here. The room was even well preserved. But it's still in very bad condition compared to how it looked before the fire. Everything is covered in black spots. Everything here will need to be thoroughly washed, especially the painting, which has also suffered. The girl understands that even though the guy is pretending that everything is okay, his heart must be hurting really badly. At that moment, she decided to talk to him and admit that there was something she hadn't told him yet. When she asked if she could get money before she started work, it was because a storm had blown off their roof a few days ago and she urgently needed money to fix it. There is not a single living board in her house, and every time it needs to be repaired, she is very sad, as if the memories that fill the house are disappearing. And of course, she lost a lot of money that she could have spent on something useful. But after it happened a few times, she realized that if she fixed the house, her brothers and sisters would live safely and create new memories. And no doubt this boy Theo probably feels guilty too. At least that's what it seems to me. She feels that the lady in the painting meant a lot to him. The girl told him this so that he would understand that this happens. You just need to quickly cope with the loss and return everything to how it was. Suddenly, he felt very bad, and she noticed it only now when she looked in his direction. He says something about an evil spirit and a fire. It becomes difficult for him to stand on his feet, so much so that he seems about to fall. Then he fell to the floor. It doesn't look very good, and Lara starts to panic because she doesn't understand how to help him and what's happening to him. Meanwhile, the next day came. Lara met with colleagues and they immediately started asking what happened to her. The girl explained that she simply slept very poorly last night and felt like she could fall asleep at any moment. Sonia asks if Laura's worried about something and if the Duke is bothering her, to which the girl replies that this is not the case at all. On the contrary, he is too kind to her. She couldn't tell what happened yesterday. Her muscles hurt a lot after she tried to move the sleeping Duke. And the butler, who witnessed this scene, promised not to tell anyone anything, because if he himself were in his place, he would not want many people to know about it either. At first he stood aside, then he started to look closely and realized that they had some problems. Laura was with the gentleman all the time. She hoped that it would start because she did not want to witness his death. Then she heard him breathing. She relaxed, but not completely. Leaving him in place was undesirable, so she had to come up with something. So that the master would not be seen by other servants, she tried to pull him by the leg, as it may sound. Then she saw that the butler was nearby. She thought to ask him for help. After all, he is a man and should be stronger. The butler didn't know what was best to do, and what was worse, to leave the master where he was or to hold him by the legs when he woke up and explain everything. But even in such a situation, when she simply wanted to help a person, George perceived her action as if they were too close to His Majesty, that he allowed himself to do such a thing. He couldn't even imagine that they would go so far. He was even a little embarrassed, but how wrong he was. The girl heard the phrase, "they went too far," and didn't quite understand how it was connected with her help, and the man said that he wasn't for her. In the end, he just ran away. She didn't quite understand how to understand this, because she herself wouldn't drag him anywhere. Meanwhile, the girl is calmly driving down the corridor, and she is haunted by what might be said about Theo in that book. She even tried to study something about it at night, but she was so tired that she still didn't understand anything. It said that the boy had always been considered an evil spirit, but it was obvious that this was not his original form. Besides, he looked confused, like all of them. If the soul tied to the earth stays here for too long, it will leave. It will turn into an evil spirit and will harm all living things. When she heard these words from the Duke, she then felt relief. But she still worries about him, as if the hope she had is fading. But if you look at the situation from the outside, it turns out that because of Theo, there was a fire, he hurt people. So maybe the boy is in the process of becoming an evil spirit, and maybe if you give him what he wants, this will not happen. It would be nice to find some clue about Theo's past in the notebook. The roommate suddenly woke up and asked when Laura was going to go to bed. The girl apologized to Sonia, but it turns out that the colleague was just worried that the girl was tired because it was her first day at work. She worked so much that they didn't even have time to talk about it. Laura thanked for the concern. She said that she needed to check something, and after that she would go straight to bed. Sonia said goodnight and fell asleep in literally 3 seconds. She loves sleep and always falls asleep so quickly. The girl thought that her partner had helped her so much that she should have given her some small gift. She no longer hoped to find anything interesting when suddenly she came across the page she had been looking for all evening. There's a boy's name written at the top, so that's what she needs. 4 years old, he said he liked cookies but wouldn't eat them if they were given to him. He is close to Lily, despite the fact that the girl often makes fun of him. He accepts everything and sometimes hides in the closet. And he always misses someone very much, but never tells who exactly. Accordingly, if this person is found, she will help the boy to free himself from the attachment to the earthly world. But it is not yet clear at what time he died, and there is no guarantee that the person is still alive. Before Theo becomes an evil spirit, she would like to ask the Duke for help. But he doesn't believe in the existence of evil spirits, so it will be difficult to convince him, even almost impossible. Probably the fastest way is to make friends with that boy. She even thought about giving him a cookie, but just in case before that, she decided to ask about it. Maybe he would give some advice. She came into his office in the morning and asked how he was feeling, but he hadn't slept for a long time and said that he was glad to see her. Also, he was waiting for her, and when she asked how he could help, he replied that it was not a matter, but just a conversation for which he had been preparing for a long time. The girl thought that he was ashamed of yesterday's situation. She asked him not to worry because this could happen to anyone. He says that what happened yesterday is his responsibility and he would like to repay her some debt. At that moment, someone comes into his office. The gentleman was waiting for this person and is very glad that he finally came. This guy brought some table. He has to put it somewhere, He asked where it would be better to do it, and the gentleman asked to put it right in front of him. There are a few more people with him. This is their commander. He ordered to carry it carefully so as not to break anything. His assistants did everything very quickly. It felt like literally a couple of seconds passed and the table was already in place. The girl doesn't quite understand why he is so huge and why he needs a second desk in his office. To which he replied that it was not his table, it was her table, which was made to order, handcrafted from the best type of wood. The tabletop was made of high-quality, very expensive marble. It was a real masterpiece. It looked so good that she can't even imagine how much the gentleman paid for it. And the table is so heavy that it's unclear how these people even got it there. Suddenly, it seemed to him that the table was too small for her. It even sounded funny. She says that it is huge and she is afraid that the others will consider her the mistress of the room. He reads that this is already too much, asked not to underestimate his work, to which he replied that for a simple manager and nanny of ghosts, this table is too much, and she does not understand why she needs it. Some time passed, the girl accidentally started talking about Theo, and the Duke said that he just wanted to discuss something. He even called an expert on the matter who arrived just in time. This is a priest. He knows the owner of this house very well. They meet periodically and discuss various problems. The guy says he is honored to have been invited here, and the gentleman replies that he is also very grateful that he came. The priest came to perform some ritual, and it wasn't hard to find the boy. He is, as usual, in his favorite closet. Lara felt very sorry for him. It was as if she felt his loneliness. And he is afraid that he will be unpleasant from everything that the Duke has planned. He even cried a little. And in the meantime, when the priest looked at the ghost arena, the gentleman asked how serious it was, and it turns out the guy immediately felt the dark energy as soon as he entered here. He also told her that the ritual he was planning to perform was not as simple as it seemed. They needed a lot of physical endurance, and it would be very expensive. If the priest succeeds, the Duke promises to donate 2,000 gold coins to the temple as soon as everything works out. Naturally, the guy agreed. But to do this, the two of them had to leave the room because everything was very secret. He just wants to hope that this won't be some kind of scam. After all, he will pay a lot for it, and he would like it to be justified. Lara asks why all this is necessary, and no matter how funny it sounds, he himself does not understand. In the end, it will seem like he will drive out evil forces from the ghost. At least he would really like that. He just needs the priest to do something good for him, to make the boy feel better, that's all. And then, out of the blue, His Majesty starts talking about reincarnation and asks if she's heard anything about it or not. After that, did she hear anything about Lana? It's a small country west of Lucien. She thought that the Crentetians destroyed it anyway. Reincarnation is a myth that comes from the moon, the state religion in Lon. They say that when someone dies, their soul remains, and if this soul, after wandering around the world, ascends, it will then be reborn as a human. Lara seems to understand what he means, but she also understands that all of this is very difficult. And to make sure that she understood everything correctly, she asked if this really meant that they were now taking away Theo's chance for rebirth. This immediately outraged him, and he asked how she could be so carefree. Then he said that this ghost had already harmed people, and regardless of her opinion, he was sure that the boy was still an evil spirit, or something that would soon turn into one. Lara, the Duke is right after all. Even if the boy is not an evil spirit now, there is no guarantee that he will not cause more harm. Theo may try to take over her body like other ghosts to make up for his grudge. But his look, begging for help, is very difficult for her to ignore, judging by the words that what the priest is doing now is destroying and developing the soul. For Theo, who always looked kind, holding a grudge would be enough to become an evil spirit. How much suffering this child went through, one can only guess. If reincarnation is really possible, if they really helped him ascend before he became a spirit, he could have a happy future. Something inside her tells her that she needs to help the boy in some other way. She asks if they can try something else, when suddenly a priest literally flies out of the room. He screams very loudly and is indignant that everything turned out to be different from what he told him. The guy was not prepared for this. The Duke asks, "What's the matter?" And the priest reminds him that when he contacted him, he said that there would only be one ghost. Well, he's not alone here. There's someone else who's much stronger. He's speaking for Lily. He's never seen such a strong spirit who wasn't evil. She says that actually it was he who offended her friend first, threw things at him, and she doesn't understand how an adult can behave like a child. In the end, the priest says that the Duke can donate at least $1 million, but he alone can't handle it. They need stronger people. At that moment, the boy runs up to the chest. He hides behind it from this strange man, and the girl understands that she must protect him. She sees how scared he is and doesn't understand how others don't notice it. She feels so sorry for him that it's impossible to describe in words. Theo is so cute that she wants to take care of him like her little brother, especially since he asks her about it. It turns out that if they abandon this child, from whom even the priest could not drive out the evil, she will again see the sad face of the Duke. She decided to ask the priest directly what would happen if an evil spirit were expelled from their world. He replied that his form was gradually disappearing, as if his soul was being torn into 1,000 pieces. The boy heard this and immediately started to get nervous. He doesn't want this to be done to him. The girl tried to hug him. And in the meantime, the guy asks if it is true that she can also see ghosts, because it is amazing. Even in the temple, there are only a few priests who have such an opportunity. He is very offended because he is not one of those people who can do this. Instead of a ghost, he sees a black spot, which is similar to the one she sometimes sees near the Duke. After this, Lara decided to have a serious talk with the boy. She says that he himself heard how painful it could be for him, so she offers a compromise. She will help him to be reborn painlessly, but for this, he will have to explain why he started a fire in Helena's room yesterday. It will be easier if the child says exactly what he wants, but if this is not possible, you will have to use other methods. She asked them all to trust her because she had a way that would make Theo okay and wouldn't hurt him. All the time while the priest was talking to the Duke, the girl did not waste time. She spoke to Lily to ask if the boy was still acting very strangely, not like usual. He always takes things from her. I go, usually, no matter how she joked about him. He always forgave her and remained quiet. Well, this time, she just took his wooden toy and he started a fire in Helena's room. The girl thought about the wooden toy. She had heard about it somewhere. Judging by Madame's notebook, the boy always took his friend's jokes well, and if the child got so angry because his wooden toy was taken away and then behaved like a real evil spirit, perhaps it was the toy itself, and it was very good that she guessed it. Lara started asking him who gave it to him. It would be good if he remembered the facial features of this person. Theo did not hide anything. He said that it was a young master. It was he who gave him this toy. Since then, it has become his favorite. He never lets it go and does not give it to anyone, especially lately. She immediately decided to ask the priest for a favor and said in advance that it would not be difficult. When it seems to him that she is in danger, he will have to take her hand. To which he laughed and said that it is an honor for him. Since she was able to secure divine power for herself, now she can calmly check something. The Duke just now thought that if she needed the priest's help, it could be very dangerous and he should stop her. She explained that she was just trying to see Theo's memories and that they shouldn't worry. The boy just said that the young master gave him this toy, and if she can find memories of him, he can help Theo ascend. The guy couldn't even imagine that this was possible, to which the meeting responded that people quite often use this method, but there is a big risk of losing control over your body. They were talking calmly when suddenly the guy turns his head to the side and sees something he never expected from her. He apparently misunderstood the girl and began asking the gentleman to stop his secretary because right now he was trying to possess a ghost. No one understands what is happening. The Duke is even afraid to approach them and is already starting to worry about her. A moment later, the girl finds herself in some other place, in some kind of weightlessness. There are many flowers in front of her, but she does not understand what kind of place this is. She has some kind of wooden sword in her hands, and she also feels that she is too short and is not used to it. Someone hit her on the head with the same ball, and when she heard Theo's voice, she realized that she had entered his body. Some guy starts talking to Theo. He looks like a coach. He says that if this was a real fight, he would have died already. Apparently, this is the same young master that the boy was talking about. It seems that the person that Theo is yearning for is this person. He is smart, polite, handsome, was like an older brother to him, and also she got there on the day when he first gave him cookies. In the Madame's notebook, it is written that the boy loves cookies, but does not eat them when someone gives them to him. The girl still does not understand what this is connected with. A few minutes later, the coach gave him a wooden toy and also said that Theo could pretend that it was his coach and play with it at any time. Luckily, it seems like the boy doesn't have as bad a past as she thought, but now it's unclear what happened to him and why he's turning into an evil spirit. The location changed abruptly. He is already in some room. There are some documents under his feet and everything is scattered everywhere. He starts hiding from someone in the closet, cries loudly as if he is afraid that someone will come to him now. Mom comes into the room. She asked why he is hiding. She was looking for him and doesn't like it when he jokes about her. It turns out that she somehow found out that the child had been seeing the young master. And before that, they had agreed that he would no longer communicate with him. A moment later, she finds herself in her body. The Duke holds her in his arms and asks what's wrong with her. She asks him if someone really helped her get out of the boy's memories. Because a little more and she would have gone crazy, to which he says that he does not have such strength. Most likely she did it herself. Meanwhile, they decided to continue in a comfortable environment, sat down on the sofas, and the guy asked if she regretted that she temporarily moved into the body of a ghost, or rather, at the time when he was a man. The assistant starts asking the Duke to just admit that he's worried about his secretary, and the guy is already starting to get angry. He says that at the very least, it is none of his business, and the priest is here to help, not to spoil the mood. In the end, they said goodbye. The priest left. Now they have a few clues. Laura still managed to find out something. First of all, the real swordmaster was always kind to Theo. They were like a younger and older brother to him. At this point, the priest forgot some of his things. He came back and decided to stay because the most interesting part begins. When the girl started telling that the swordmaster was very handsome, the Duke got nervous. He didn't like it right away. He immediately started asking about the age, title, detailed appearance of this person, and Laura immediately understood why he needed it, so she didn't say anything. In the end, they decided to go to the man who flashed in the memories and yelled at the swordmaster when he paid too much attention to Theo. They have already arrived somewhere by carriage. Laura is here for the first time, and she already really likes it here. This is the estate of the Carsons. They are distant relatives of the Duke's family. Their families have been close since the time when his mother was alive. They are already standing near the estate, and the Duke decided to ask his friend. Could it be that in the boy's memories there was also a fire? He is interested to know if this could be somehow connected with the fire that recently happened in their house. Maybe there are some general details that can influence this, but so far the girl hasn't noticed anything like that. Very strange, they thought to see another person, but they were met by the same swordmaster whom she saw in the boy's memories. She didn't expect to see him right now. The two started to greet each other, and she froze in place, as if she saw a ghost in front of her. Then the Duke introduced them to each other. They got acquainted, and at that moment, the guy somehow thought about it and reacted strangely. He asked a very unexpected question, whether they were going to get married in the near future. Although no one understands why he thought so, then they went into the house. The guy apologized for such questions, and then explained that this was just the first time the Duke brought someone with him, especially a girl. Laura asked who they were to each other. Ilyas immediately said that they had always been enemies with him. Once upon a time, their mothers called them brothers, and one of them really didn't like it. And that person was the Duke. The guy really likes to joke about him about this. And in the last 10 minutes, he has already done it several times. At that moment, the assistant came up. He apologized for interrupting their conversation, but I just wanted to inform them that they had a guest. A very awkward situation happened. The Duke said that they could wait. After all, you can't ignore guests. It's very ugly. The guy asked how sure he was of this. The Duke replied that he had arrived without warning and was ready to wait as long as necessary. So they were left alone. The girl noticed that something was wrong with the gentleman. He says that he is fine, just a little nervous. And then he said something she never expected. He was sure she had already put the puzzle together. Theo, most likely, an illegitimate child. The Marquise and Marquise Carson, Bernard's parents, are known to have been deeply in love with each other, but a few years ago they were on the verge of divorce, which Bernard took hard. For a time he isolated himself from the world. The Duke saw him only once, at a royal banquet. The friend he hadn't seen for months had a look on his face, as if he had lost everything. For Bernard, the existence of Theo was probably a wound that would never heal. If the guy let them meet and something went wrong, he would never forgive himself. Just at that moment, when they were talking about this, the guy was standing behind the door. He eavesdropped a little, but no one noticed it. In the end, the Duke told her to forget about the ascension of Theo's soul. He would not allow it, and this upset her very much. He won't be able to stand it if his friend crumbles to pieces again, and he has to watch him in pain. The girl understands why he is so worried. Theo is turning into an evil spirit, and since he is an illegitimate child, there is a chance that he could hate the young master. But the boy she saw was the cutest child in the world. She assures the Duke that nothing will happen to him, asks him to believe her, but he does not understand how she can be sure of this. She replied that it was all because she could feel the emotions of spirits. She doesn't know why, but when she moved in, she didn't just see memories, she felt what Theo felt. It's a kind of synchronicity. She saw what he went through and felt it. So after she came out of this state and started crying, she realized that she had to handle him very carefully. He was too vulnerable, and she was alone. Then she was convinced of this. Meanwhile, Bernard couldn't stand it anymore. He came into the room and asked just one question. How did she know about this boy? Laura now doesn't even know where to start. She understands that Bernard heard everything, and it won't be possible to hide anything from him anymore. Meanwhile, the Marquis and Marchioness of Carson come in. They are very happy to see the Duke. They are just in time. The woman began to look at the Duke more closely. They had not seen each other for so long that she had already forgotten what he looked like. She starts saying that he is very similar to his mother, but these words were very painful for him. They also perceived Lara as his bride. The girl smiled sweetly and thought that the guy should explain everything himself. Meanwhile, half an hour had passed. They had all become acquainted. The woman thought that it would be nice to have dinner together and even suggested that they stay at their place for the night. And also, they have a lot of questions. They asked the girl if she minded if they asked her something. At that moment, the young master left. He seemed to close himself off. Laura even felt some unpleasant energy. I probably should have spoken so loudly about Theo at his house. And in the meantime, they had already had dinner and she went outside to talk to him. She understands that maybe he doesn't want to see anyone right now, but while there is an opportunity to talk to him, she needs to take advantage of it. It is unknown when they will be able to see each other next time. One can only hope that he will not be too rude to her. First, they started talking about food. The girl said that everything was very tasty, and he was very happy to hear it. Laura began to think about where to start. It is very dangerous to say something unnecessary now, and before asking something, you need to think carefully. Surprisingly, for some reason, he started apologizing for what happened earlier, and she replied that it was not necessary. And it seems to her that it is she who should apologize. This is their first meeting, and he heard such things that he was probably shocked. She says that maybe it sounds like an excuse, but they weren't following him and asked him to believe her. He says that he didn't even think about it and doesn't hold a grudge against anyone. After that, he asked if she believed in reincarnation, and this was the second question that day, and from different people. The thing is, when they were kids, Ilyas told him stories about ghosts who died some time ago. At first, it seemed to him that it was all some kind of jokes and intimidation. But then he found out that it was all true and ghosts exist. He has no choice but to believe in reincarnation. So he was always curious if Theo could come back to life. And would he want to see him again? Like in the good old days? Judging from these words, it became clear that at the very least, he would like this, and does not hate the boy at all, as the Duke thinks. After this conversation, the girl is now absolutely sure that they should organize a meeting. Theo and the young master must definitely meet. Laura, without thinking, told him that the guy could meet him at any time convenient for him. At that moment, the Duke comes up to them and says that it is all because this child is in his estate. Laura just didn't know how to tell him about it correctly, and was very grateful that Ilyas came to them at such a timely moment. The next day came naturally. The young master agreed and was already returning with them to see the boy. The servants already know about this earlier than they should. They really like looking through binoculars. For them, it's like a hobby. The butler also joined them. He was also interested to know what interesting thing they saw there. But when he looked through a magnifying glass, he saw two people who simply couldn't be together. He heard from the gentleman many times that he would never invite this man to his home. He can't even imagine what must have happened for them to be calmly next to each other and with a smile on their faces. This is something impossible. Now they have become even more interested in following them. The maids can't believe their eyes either. They know very well how His Majesty has been treating that guy for the last few years. When the three of them had already approached the mansion, everyone hid in their places and pretended as if no one was following anyone. The guy admitted that he was already starting to get nervous. He hadn't been here for a long time and didn't believe that he would be able to see the Theo. He still feels like they're just laughing at him. It's very unlikely to be true, but he'll see it for himself soon. It would be a shame if he couldn't see a ghost. Bernard never tested whether he had that ability. And he also wondered if ghosts could appear in the middle of the day, because as far as he knew, they could only be seen at night. The Duke replied that sometimes this happens. Meanwhile, the girl doesn't understand what's happening to her. For some reason, she starts to get nervous. It seems like only one of them should be nervous, but she seems to be experiencing all of his emotions on herself. And here something interesting begins. The Duke only now decided to tell him information that he could not tell before, that Theo was Bernard's half-brother all along. He doesn't understand how he knows this. He's even outraged that everyone knows about it except him. And to change the subject a little, Laura intervened in the conversation and said that if she saw the boy first, she would definitely say so, because she had such an ability. The Duke also said that she can also feel emotions and spirits. She corrected this information a little. It's all correct, but it's only when a spirit enters her or when she looks into his past. She also said that she entered his body and saw his memories, where Bernard was. The guy can't stop being surprised. He became interested in whether she knows what the boy thinks about him, because now it is very important for him. He is afraid that Theo might hate him because he did nothing for him, and also that he might want to take revenge on him for something. Then he noticed that he accidentally took her hands. The girl said that everything was fine. But what about revenge? She thought that it couldn't happen. She felt that Theo wanted to see him, that he was not angry with him at all, and that Bernard had nothing to fear. At some point, the boy, as usual, came into the corridor to meet the guests, but he did not think that he would see a familiar person. At first, he didn't even believe his eyes. He thought that he had confused the guest with Bernard, and really didn't realize that it was him.